Oh, am I on? Yeah, I'm on. Hi, everyone. I said I'd be back, and like a bad penny, inevitably I turn up. And I'm quite touched by how many people left comments on my last video. And I got a troll. I love getting trolls. They're really fun. Uh, there's, I won't even get into it now. Yeah, I sort of consider myself an old hippie. That's why the aging hippie, and one time I even did a radio show called The Aging Hippie. And in my absence, I did cut my hair. I was listening to Crosby, Stills, and Nash song, Almost Cut My Hair, and I did it. And I wonder why. Because I'm not letting my freak flag fly. It's because as you get older, your head gets bigger, and it's not a good look somehow. I want things to be better. I wish things could be better. I wish people could turn off the hatred and get back to trying to get along with each other instead of constantly bickering and bitching. And there's one person that's responsible for this more than anybody else. And I don't think I need to name who he is because everybody knows it. And every time you say his name, so, a little bile comes up and it just doesn't feel good. It's much worse if you look at him or God forbid, listen to him. Maybe it's time for geriatrics to give up politics and to hand it over to a much younger generation who has been screwed. I mean, look at everything. Buying a house these days is ridiculously out of reach for people. Everything's turned to shit. And it all goes along with Veg's law. Everything that can turn to shit will turn to shit. So, like everyone else, I'm anxious to see the Epstein files released. But when you have 1,000 monkeys working overtime, redacting certain names from it, it kind of loses its punch. So what I'm hoping is that there's somebody ethical somewhere that will leak them. Everything. The whole bit. Let's see the whole ugly story. I don't care who it takes down. Take them all down. I just want to see this stuff come to an end. Sometimes it seems like it never will. Throughout my life, I've seen so many things go from bad to worse. When I was a kid, my father raised 6 kids and supported my mother on one salary. We weren't rich by any stretch of the imagination, but we were never poor. We never went without food, and we never didn't have a house to live in or a car to drive. Nowadays, one person can't do that unless they're, head of Microsoft. I mean, it's getting to that point when housing is so out of reach for young people. There's going to be people that revolt over this stuff because the billionaires have taken so much out of the economy that it's hurting more and more people. And a lot of people sort of dealt with it, second job or second income coming in, and yet still outpace the ability of people to have a decent middle class life. You're not allowed to have a middle class life anymore. You're supposed to be poor like everybody else. Unless you're one of the lucky ones, and some people inherit property or money and they have it easy. But there's a lot of people that aren't in that position and that will never, ever be able to afford their own house. Hell, they can barely afford the rent on a 1-bedroom apartment these days. I just think the answer probably would be to make billionaires illegal. If you get to be a billionaire. You didn't earn it. You stole it. And it's time for people to take their money back. I see some positive signs. I do. I see Mom Danny in New York, and of course, the trouble with people when they get into power is they realize it's a lot harder than it seemed to make changes, and then they maybe start making compromises here and there, and then it gets worse and worse and worse, and before you know it, they're up to their necks in corruption. Now, I'm not saying Mom Danny is going to be like that. I'm very hopeful for the people of New York that he may make New York a livable city for the average wage earner. And those are the people that keep society going, the average wage earner. Without people doing all the menial jobs, what would happen? Oh, AI is going to replace them. Yes, everything is going to be AI. And then how many people will be left in poverty, scrambling? I don't know. It's so hard for me to see everything going downhill and not speak about it, not speak up about it a little bit, at least from my little corner of the internet, this tiny little thing that I do for a hobby. I don't have a production team or all this fancy stuff. No, I'm just one person screaming into the void, but fortunately the void has a few people in it that are screaming back, and if you're one of those, thank you very much, and I appreciate it. So today on Blue Sky, somebody posted a little meme or whatever, and saying that all it takes is 3.5% of a population to bring down a government. Well, that's not exactly true, because you have to do it repeatedly over and over again, increasing in size, and it's a little more complicated than that. So this person, I just said, well, you've got to do it every day. You can't let up on the gas and do it every month or two and expect it to work. And she came back with, well, if you're negative, don't talk to me. I'm not negative. I'm the most positive person I know. And you can ask my wife about that. She'll tell you. Yeah, so I just have this thing where I'm cynical. I'm not negative. I'm cynical because I've seen a lot. And the more you see, and the more you see it going downhill, the more cynical you become. And I know there's a big bunch of things against boomers and thinking that we're all rich and somehow screwing them personally. But no, you're mad at the wrong people. When people get divided into different categories, be it by sex, be it by color, be it by this group and that group, then you stay distracted from who's really robbing you blind. And who is robbing you blind? Well, that's the corporatocracy. And I could go into a million ways in which they're robbing you blind, but it's legal to rob you blind. As long as you're wealthy, you can get away with anything these days, anything at all. Just donate to the correct political pack and you'll be okay. Yeah, it doesn't matter. I'm so sick of this. I would like to see honesty. Yes, honesty, truth. Somebody tells lies and lie. They get up there and they lie and lie and lie and say the economy's wonderful. It's a golden age. Are you enjoying the golden age? Democracy is failing, and it's failing on so many fronts, and that's certainly because of money. It's all to do with money. It all has to do with somebody being on the take, and everybody feeling entitled to be on the take because, well, everybody else is on the take. I might as well be corrupt just like everybody else. No, it's not the way it's supposed to work. But it's only when good people stand up, it's only when good people speak out, and not hide your head under the pillow and say, it'll be over soon. That's when change happens. And change can happen. I mean, incrementally sometimes, or sometimes it happens really quickly. Look how quickly America has lost its democracy. It happened in a flash. Well, actually, it was incremental, and you could have studied it for the last 25 years. Or say till 2000, when the SCOTUS overturned the election, handed it to the loser. You know, then maybe that should have set off alarm bells, and it didn't, you know. Citizens United came along, and that should have set off alarm bells, but it didn't. Because the uninformed are certainly easy to manipulate. You cannot believe anything anymore because everybody chooses their own facts. I like this fact and I don't like that fact, so I'll say that fact is bullshit and this fact is true. And they have no idea and haven't even looked into it. Cluelessness, just pure cluelessness. That's all I see around me. That and four walls, and snow, and sleet, and lots of things. I just wish that people could get it together. Yeah, 3.5% of the population out in the streets, why not? We're seeing the fall of the regime bit by bit. You know, there's people standing up to him and saying, I don't think so. And he just falls asleep in his meetings, and yeah, they know his days are numbered, but there's all these maggots just waiting, just salivating over it. I want the gold office. I want the Taj Mahal effect. At the risk of being kind of disgusting, last video I asked people what constituted a shitload of stuff. And I got a couple of interesting answers from my loyal subs out there. One of them, I think he said that it takes 25 shitloads to make a fuck ton. And so I thought about that, and I thought, yeah, that's probably right. But then he brought up something that is even more disgusting, and it's just a term that we use regularly in our speech, right? You know, he had a shit-eating grin. Well, who would eat shit and grin while they're eating shit? I thought about that, and I thought that makes no sense. So I'm not going to use that particular phrase anymore. So thank you for that comment. I really enjoyed it. I love reading and answering all my comments. Even the trolls. I love answering trolls. I have fun with those. So it makes me perhaps a little rare amongst the tubular universe that I answer everything. And if I get 100 comments, I'll answer 100 comments. If I get 5, I'll answer all 5 of them. Fortunately, I usually get a few more than 5, which makes me feel wanted and important and relevant, even though I'm none of those things. And I love you all, and stay groovy. See you next time. Bye.